man, that is ground.
You know, you look at things like that. These are real things. That press conference took place.
Hold on, Governor. Again, I don't have words to describe how big that is, that Rumsfeld had the press conference. It's the area where the records were. Building 7 had a bunch of similar records with the CIA in it. And that was only a press conference the day before. It was in the news the week before that, so he had to respond. It was breaking. We've never seen anything in mainstream news since then. There's only, I mean, this is groundbreaking. I can't believe.
There can't be anything since then because there's no clues now. All the evidence is gone.
It's huge.
And it just goes away. Mainstream media doesn't bother with it anymore. They just don't bother with it. It's gone. Oh, well.
Now, because I haven't seen the show yet, I've just talked to people behind the scenes. I mean, can you tell us what the new explosive revelation is about the attack with the missing trillions?
Well, that's pretty, that's part of it, what I just explained, the fact that it hit right in the spot where the accounting would have been done. Where all the evidence was.
I'm just surprised this is even going to get on air. As we know, briefly, the missing police state episode, you want to say anything about that?
Well, apparently there was enough outcry from congressmen and from our government that they went to the higher-ups of AOL or whatever, and they've now removed it from the website, and they won't show it anymore, and they've basically censored it. That's all I can explain on it. But, it didn't surprise me because, Alex, I never believed these shows would get on the air in the first place.
Well, it turns out what you said a year ago, in a way, is right.
Well, it's starting to come true.
Well,
we must have rattled enough cages.
Oh, they got scared about those threat fusion centers commanding the FEMA camp grid. I mean, you hit them hard. I mean, I've never seen TV where there's a real Perry Mason moment. You annihilated that congressman. He was caught with his pants down, and then you annihilated. And I want to talk about that before you leave us, but we're going to finish up with the Pentagon episode tonight. You annihilated the head scientist and her minion from the Army Corps of Engineers. First, they deny there's a plan to secretly force relocate and that they only want business there. Then you give them the documents, and they go, oh, yeah, we know about that plan. I mean, they look like a deer in the headlights. I'm serious.
Well, if you do your homework, the thing is it's all out there. But getting back and tying it in, if we don't have things like WikiLeaks, we won't be able to do our homework, will we?
No, and that's the whole game plan. Let's go to number 2. Hijacker who flew 757 jetliner into Pentagon, unable to fly single-engine Cessna trainer. You guys went and talked to the folks. The flight school's on record. They couldn't even get a Cessna off the ground.
Well, it wasn't that he couldn't get a Cessna off the ground. It was simply they didn't trust him with one.
Well, I know there was another case where he...
And we go into it better than that. We will take tonight the exact... what the 9/11 Commission and the official government, NIST or whoever does all this stuff, we will take their exact dimensions, for lack of a better term, and try to duplicate it on a flight simulator. Wait till you see what happens.
Well, I've talked to so many airline pilots and fighter pilots. They say what happened at the Pentagon is impossible.
Well, we take it the step farther. We do it on a flight simulator.
No, incredible. Here's another one.
We're going to show what we try to do with our show is we try to bring it to the average person's level, to where you don't have to be a scientist to figure it out. We'll show it to you.
By the way, folks, we're going to skip this network break coming up, so we have a full 12 minutes left with the governor. Always precious time with him. What a great patriot. I got to say, I admire Jesse Ventura because he's got courage, and he tells it like it is, and that's what we need in this country. And now I just admire Geraldo Rivera. I admire Judge Andrew Napolitano even more, that they would put their careers on the line. There have been calls now to fire them. It's been big news, though, as listeners know.
Remember, I was basically dismissed and fired from MSNBC because I opposed the war in Iraq.
Oh, that's in WikiLeaks, that they're the #1 recipient of mainstream media of bailout money, Governor. What do you think of that?
Who, MSNBC?
Yeah, massive government money.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. But, no, I was essentially fired because I opposed the invasion of Iraq. And they wouldn't allow me on the air. They fulfilled their contract, but I couldn't say anything because my contract said that I could not do any news shows, nor could I do any satellite or cable television.
Well,
and so, you know, the censorship is clear that it's out there.
Well, again, you're seen as a hero today for doing what a man is supposed to do. Tell the truth, follow your moral compass and what you believe in, and let the chips fall where they may. Justice be done, though the heavens fall. But more and more, that's seen as heroic because so many people just cower and go along with whatever they think the establishment wants them to do.
Exactly, because they're in fear, and we can't live in fear. If we start living in fear, then give up the ship.
All right, we got to move.
If we're supposed to be real Americans, then let's stand up tall and be what we're supposed to be.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't say it any better. Let's hurry through these other bullet points. Former NASA engineer reveals to Jesse Ventura damage to the Pentagon didn't come from plane strike. I can't tell you how many demolition experts have pointed out from the few frames they released. It's orange and white hot. That's not jet fuel. It's red and black. As a Navy SEAL demolitions, underwater demolition expert, you know, of the cadre of SEALs, it's the underwater demolition teams that are, from what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, that are the, most focused on explosives. I mean, that's a white-hot orange fireball.
Well, not only that, but when you look at any of these things, when you end up with metal being melted, I mean melted, when metal melts, it takes extreme heat. You know, you're talking degrees of 3,000, you know, and nothing like that could happen through a normal plane crash. Heat will not get that hot through the normal crashing of a plane.
Well, it's shot through.
Trust us, there's been lots of planes that have crashed, unfortunately.
Well, it went through 3 rings of the Pentagon like a bunker-busting missile.
Well, and that's, you know, what we'll get into tonight on the show.
Unbelievable. Continuing, FBI confirms Pentagon had 84 security cameras on 9/11, but no footage shows plane hitting building.
Yeah, and they've taken that footage. They've under the old premise of national security, they locked it up, and we as citizens are not allowed to see it. I guess it would traumatize us too much. I don't know. Of course, I'm being sarcastic there.
Well, folks,
but why can't we see? If they had all these cameras running, why in the hell aren't we allowed to see the footage? What possible excuse, Alex, could they use?
They don't have one, and
they don't have one.
They even went to hotels and gas stations and confiscated it. Continuing, final point, there's even more on the show. 911 commission lawyer admits to Jesse Ventura that government has a penchant for secrecy.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was a lawyer that was actually on the 9/11 commission, and tonight you'll see me sit down with her. And, you know, I respect her, and I think what she did as an individual was okay. But what she reveals in just talking to her unintentionally tells you what a hoax and what a fraud the whole investigation was. That it was clearly dictated out of the White House. And, you know, the White House wasn't going to have this investigated at all. People seem to forget and have this short-term memory that immediately following 9/11, the Bush White House completely blocked any investigation. There wasn't going to be any investigation. We were simply to believe what they told us, and that was good enough. And I think today, even after the 9/11 investigation, there were good things that were revealed out of that investigation. You have to find them and piece them together. But we're no better off learning the truth today after the 9/11 investigation. And the clear example of that, Alex, is, again, follow the money. When Bill Clinton was investigated for Whitewater, which ultimately they learned the president cheated on his wife, they spent $100 million. The initial allocation for the death of 3,000 people or more at 9/11, $3 million. They ended up spending 13.
And they agreed at the beginning of the commission they weren't going to look for who was wrong or what happened. They were going to look at things to recommend, national ID cards.
Not only that, but no one got fired. If Bush and them were that inept that these 19 bozos could get on planes with box cutters and accomplish what they did against our military, our air defense system, and what was called the most safest building in the world, the Pentagon. They bragged. It's a no-fly zone. Why wasn't that plane shot out of the air?
Well, we know Cheney was in the bunker and basically involved in the stand-down.
Well, who had a stand-down? Because the Pentagon is in a no-fly zone. Anything that flies so close to the Pentagon is to be shot out of the air.
Governor,
and that day, nothing was shot out of the air.
We're almost out of time. Very powerful. Folks, you better set your TiVos, your DVRs. This may be the only time you ever see this. They normally air the episodes more than 50 times, but they've already deep-sixed one because of Homeland Security and congressional things. It really hit a nerve. I mean, let me tell you, knowing what I know about this episode, I'm quite frankly crossing my fingers. I'll be surprised if it even makes it on air. There's been a lot of other stuff behind the scenes that I can't get into, but this is real TV. Ventura and his crew have a lot of courage to bring you this.
And what's amazing, Alex, is even the confession of G. Gordon, or Howard Hunt.
Yes.
The confession of Howard Hunt, which backs up the book Plausible Denial, written back in the 80s, the court case in Florida, and yet not one bit of it is reported in mainstream media.
Yeah,
Here's a confession to the murder of John Kennedy.
Wow. No, the show slipped in under the radar, but it's now being targeted. In closing, I was really proud to be associated with the Gulf episode. I know it was one of your favorites, but here's the Guardian article where they admit there's a plan to buy up 17,000 Mississippi houses just to begin, to force people completely out of the Gulf area, Mississippi, Louisiana. You really caught them last week when you talked to the head scientist, and they had to admit it.
Well, you know, they're doing it for the good of the people, Alex. They don't want them flooded out anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that's their simple explanation. It's time for all them people to relocate.
But they admitted big business is going to be there.
Yeah, big business is going to be staying, but they prefer to have the people gone.
Well, you haven't left them.
You know what I always question? Certain parts of big business won't do very well unless there's people around, will they?
Not in the end game. They want to consolidate power.
One of the big things down there is the casinos. Who's going to go down there and gamble if all you can do is look at oil wells?
Governor, it's incredible. We've only got about a minute left. I guess this will be our last interview until 6-7 months from now when you get back to Minnesota. You're about to go to Mexico here in the next few weeks. Be safe on your trip.
I will try. You know, that's another shining example of our foreign policy, how well we're doing at the Mexican border with all the murders, and that today you have to literally take your life in your own hands just to go down and visit what is a fabulous country of Mexico.
And you've got a simple answer that the statistics show would fix it, decriminalize.
Oh, completely. I mean, if they would decriminalize drugs, that puts the cartels out of business. Again, it's called, go back to your history books. Start reading on Al Capone and prohibition of alcohol, and you will see how much it parallels.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least